So, I mean, let's just start off just with horror in general. What was your first experience with horror, and how did that maybe affect the movie?
Well, I guess I never really felt like Final Girls was like a horror movie. That was not ever intentional, and I don't even think it's that scary, honestly. I probably shouldn't say that. I mean, there's some scares, but for me, really, the movie always started off from this place of it being that mother-daughter story, not to sound highfalutin or anything, but when I first got the script, it had the idea, to have the kids get sucked into a bad 80s horror movie, but it really had that mother-daughter story central. And I had lost my own father maybe 5 months before I got that script, and so it was really personal and really resonated. I was really into telling that kind of story. I thought I could bring something. I felt like I bring a feeling to it. I felt that I understand that emotional stuff. But I could never make a movie like that was like Stepmom, like a straight up schmaltz fest, Like my favorite movies are those blends. I love like All That Jazz, which is about mortality and death, but it's also a musical with pizzazz, pizzazz. So I like that this had that. It had a roller coaster game and the horrors and the jokes, but it was really about that centrally. But to answer your question, when I was a kid, I was afraid of horror movies. I couldn't watch them. I remember seeing Fright Night when I was 13 and being traumatized, and I remember seeing Misery young, and really it was nightmares. I couldn't handle it. Then I think when I was like 14, 15, I found Dead Alive for the first time.
So
I found it on VHS. Well, the comedy and like so gory that it was absurd, and the filmmaking was so vital. It felt so alive, that movie, Dead Alive, to me. And then after that, I started to fall into Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness.
Sam Raimi.
Really, a lot of heavy, early Raimi stuff and early Peter Bad Taste I found. And then I really got into those nightmares. Nightmare on Elm Street 3, 4, and 5 were my favorites because they were so full of imagination. They weren't even really scary. They were just like so full of that dreamy imagination, which turns into a cockroach. And in 4, when the movie loops, the comic book kill. For me, that stuff was so. I just loved when I was a kid seeing any film that you could feel a filmmaker in it. I wanted to be a director my whole life, and I loved when I could feel a director in his movie.
100%.
That's what I was trying to do.
So, was there a conscious effort to tone down the gore in The Final Girls? Because when I watch it, it pays tribute to that 80s mentality, 100%. But those were really over-the-top, bloody and violent. Your film isn't. It's not a bad thing. I'm just curious.
No, it's true.
Why.
Originally, it was going to be like that.
Overly bloody.
It was going to be really gory, and the kills were crazy. We were trying to think of the grossest stuff. It ultimately ended up becoming a mandate that the movie had to be PG-13.
Okay.
And I was really upset about that for a little while. But ultimately, I honestly feel that it's better this way, because I think if it was too mercenary in its violence, like if it was people's spines getting ripped out and their eyes, really the gore stuff, I think it would have fucked up the tone and the sweetness of it. There is a warmth and kind of a joy in the movie, and at the end, the intention at least is that it is emotional, genuinely. And I just think that if it was like Saw or like, you know what I mean? Like just blood and bodies being, being ripped apart. I think it might have broken that. The tone is really delicate. I think it might have broken it a little bit. So I actually think it's better this way. It feels more like Back to the Future.
100%.
To serve
Back to the Future.
Really, because Back
with a murderous.
Well, yeah, but like how Back to the Future is a sci-fi movie, this is a horror movie. So like not that much. It's a time machine, but it's not like a sci-fi movie.
Okay. So the other question is, how'd you get away with making something so similar to, again, Friday the 13th? You even have the Jason noise in there, just about.
Just about.
So how does a filmmaker get away with making something so similar, yet, it's a true tribute to what you did.
Well, it is a lot of Friday the 13th. It is genuinely a lot. But it's also the burning. There's a lot of the burning in there.
Yeah. It's the whole campfire.
It's really a lot of the campfire slasher horror thing. And then musically, it's a lot of Carpenter and Goblin and Wakeman. There's a lot of that stuff going on in it, and Nightmare. A lot of the outfits that Divine is wearing is Johnny Depp, and it's trying to pull from a lot of that stuff, and even aesthetically, some of the. I'm trying to be clever a little bit aesthetically with there's Argento color washes all over the place, and there's Sam Raimi, twisty snap zoom.
And I was also going to say too. When you look at the cabin, and you look at even the scenes in nature, the flowers are also vibrant. Like, you put a lot of colors in there. And again, I'm assuming that was on purpose. You really wanted to make it pop as this is a movie.
Well, there was a clear decision, because I think when people read it, they were like, what's it going to look like? What's it going to feel like? because those old horror movies don't look very good. I mean, they're pretty washed out, and they're, there's 16 by 9s, and they're just, don't look great. And the coverage is very static and boring and sloppy sometimes even. And I just felt like if we were really orthodox with the logic of it, you don't want to live in that movie. And it also limits what I'm capable of doing visually. And so I felt early on it was like, this is going to be more like Wizard of Oz. It's really going to be, what I'm trying to do is kids get sucked into a movie. That's what I'm doing. They get sucked into a film. And that would be crazy. And so it plays more like Wizard of Oz when they get into that movie and everything is hyper, it's vibrant.
And it is. It's extremely
The greens
vibrant.
we put all those, we put the plants, we painted, we built that cabin, painted it. I mean, it was highly designed, that camp, and the flowers, it's all us, and the yellow van. Really wanted to make it, burn your eyes with color. We felt that would be, and the camera starts flying all over the place. Wanted it to be beautiful.
And it does. That's what it.
And wanted to do beautiful horror. We thought that would be cool. Could you make a comedy beautiful?
It looks like you've remastered one of those old '80s
right?
films, and you've kind of brought it back to life. Exactly. Totally list. So again, you're playing with '80s cliches and the rules of horror, quote unquote, the final girl, all that stuff. So, are you now paranoid about sex? Because the rule in the Final Girls is if you have sex, you die.
But I've always been paranoid about sex. Intimacy is very, very frightening, because attachment's so strong, and then, it's so hard to break apart from someone.
So what? All right. So really, though, what's your favorite '80s cliche from those horror movies? Because you toy with a lot.
I like those jock characters a lot. I think my favorite, I like the Blake. I like Tori I like a boombox and suspenders. I like those characters. It's those real innocent, dopey goofballs you kind of usually get at first. I like that.
This is a spoof in a way. This is trust me, in a way it's a spoof, but it's a tribute, like you said, and it's also this really super metaphysical film. You have all these layers. It's crazy the amount of depth that you actually get on it. So how do you make all that work in cohesion?
I think that for me, the best stories are pretty tonally all over the place. Like even if you asked a friend about their day and they talked about their day, it would be, they woke up and they were kind of depressed, and then took a shower and they pepped up and they got a great phone call with good news, but then their cat died, and it's really crazy if you just think about a day in your life. And I think for me those are the most interesting stories. I just think if you're telling your story and you're telling it confidently and it's all making sense, you can kind of get away with almost anything.
Right.
And so that was part of it, The tone wasn't like so how do you make it? And then I also felt like that to hold it all together, the movie was allowed to be very visual, very stylish. I felt that I sometimes feel like in movies like there's not like a lot of joy of movie making in movies. There used to be.
It's like a business almost.
Yeah, but just aesthetically, even just artistically. Movies are the fucking best. Cinema's you can do so much. I remember when I was a kid seeing like Hudsucker Foxy or Raising Air. I was like, what the or Delicatessen, like, what the fuck
Delicatessen,
what is this movie? I love the person who's telling it. I love how they're telling it. And I don't see that so much anymore. And I felt that this movie especially lent itself to that style of filmmaking because it's a movie about movies. And a movie about movie lovers, and a movie about people stuck in a movie and aware of movies. And obviously it's me, a love letter to movies. And so I wanted to, I wasn't ashamed. I didn't want to be embarrassed. I was like, I'm going to really try to push this, and I'm going to yell this story at you with my camera. And I felt that would be like the cohesive thing. So it could be sad and funny and scary and meta, but it wouldn't matter because you could sort of feel the storyteller kind of like, confidently pushing you along.
Well, I think your reaction to the screen says it all. The audience went wild at the end of it, so I think you brought it to the right place.
Yeah, this was, I said it last night, it really feels like it's home here. It was made, when I was making it, I was like, Austin, opening night, Friday the 13th, Paramount. It's gotta be.
It couldn't have been more perfect.
It was great.
Well, congratulations, sir.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.